I'm on a GLP-1 and I know some people are going to feel very hurt or confused or be like, bitch, what the fuck? I also would probably say the same thing.
I wonder why people might say the same thing, friend. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Katie, and for those of you who don't know me, I used to weigh 360 pounds, and I've lost 180 pounds and kept it off for years now. And on this channel, we will discuss weight loss, weight maintenance, nonsense I see online about body positivity and fat acceptance, my experiences with all of that, and well, anything else I feel like talking about. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below, and let's get into today's video. Hi, Editing Katie here. It's first thing in the morning, and I just rolled out of bed to the wonderful news that this video that I uploaded yesterday has been age restricted and demonetized. Still, for the life of me, cannot figure out what I could have possibly said to set this off, but I'm gonna re-edit and re-upload. So if you have already watched the first one, I appreciate that you have clicked on this one again. And if you have yet to watch the first one, I will leave this up if you want to go back and see what I removed and see what could have possibly set all of this off. Thanks. So today, we're going to check back in with an old friend of ours, AntiDietPilot. And since it's been a moment since we've checked in with our friend, why don't we go ahead and refresh ourselves with a couple of her TikToks from just last year.
I don't know how to have this conversation. I keep restarting this video over and over, but...
Okay, and it says, getting fat while Ozempic is trendy.
I wanted to talk about being in the largest body that you've ever been in while you're like recovering from years because it's so hard, especially like right now in 2024 when over the past like 4 months people have been dropping so much fucking weight. Like there's so many creators that I've been watching for years and I have to sit here and like contemplate if I need to unfollow them. And it, like when you say it out loud, you're like, oh, I'm unfollowing them because they've lost weight. Like that sounds so stupid. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to unfollow them because of that. Like I love their content. But like, for example, this one girl was getting ready for a wedding today and like, you can just see how much weight she's lost. And I'm like, because in my brain, I'm like, oh, she looks so much better. So I'm like, why am I thinking those thoughts? I don't want to have those thoughts because I don't want anyone to like, I don't want to feel pressured into like doing things that led me down a really hard path. Anyways, I really don't know how to make this a constructive conversation without it being triggering. So I'm just going to stop.
Okay, and let's go ahead and check out another one of hers from last year.
I'm going to take the heat since no one else will, and I'll talk about this. The fact that there are influencers who built gigantic followings based on their conversations around body positivity, healing your relationship with food and with exercise, who have now done a complete 180 and are now talking about weight loss medications, weight loss surgeries, and just like being on a weight loss journey in general, literally just making coffee or eating their fucking breakfast, talking about the shit is insane. That should literally be illegal. The fact that there's one particular influencer who built over 300,000 followers talking about her recovery journey and is now every single day talking about the fact that she's intentionally losing weight to those same exact followers. You have to be out of your goddamn mind. My brain I can't wrap my head around. Like I've had to unfollow so many of my mutuals because this behavior is just so despicable. I really thought that the people in my mutual circle were the real ones. You're fake.
Well, why don't we go ahead and take a look and see what our friend has been up to recently?
I'm on a GLP-1 and I know some people are going to feel very hurt or confused or be like, bitch, what the fuck? I also would probably say the same thing.
I wonder why people might say the same thing, friend. I really wonder why. And not just those videos that we just watched, but our friend is infamous for going viral numerous times in this space over some, well, quite frankly, ludicrous takes, in my opinion. Things like before and after pictures are fat phobic, working out for appearance-based reasons is fat phobic, counting calories or following a meal plan is fat phobic. Apparently breathing air is fat phobic. She had a whole list of everything that was fat phobic and why all of us that apparently were participating in these behaviors were just awful, horrible people for doing this. And even just last year saying things like the Ozempic girlies were never going to get to her.
I don't care how hard the Ozempic girlies try to shove that shit down my throat. I will never go down a path of intentional weight loss ever again. There's also so much research that shows how bad dieting is for our bodies. I would never do that to my body ever again. People could really benefit from differentiating how they feel from how they look. One has to do with health. The other has to do with vanity. In my opinion, dieting is just an illusion of something that will get you a better life. It doesn't actually make your life better. It's miserable. Ask anyone who's currently dieting. It fucking sucks. So why do it? Health at every size. Go research it. Love you.
And that if you change up your style of content from recovery to talking about weight loss medications and losing weight and all of these things, that should be illegal, and that's insane, and that's despicable. I mean, she had some very strong language for some of this behavior. So let's see, maybe she'll talk about that and address some of it. Maybe she'll even apologize for some of her more out there takes. I don't know. Let's go ahead and take a look.
I've been wanting to come back to TikTok for a very long time, but I told myself until I was ready to talk about this, I would not come back because I did not want to be a dishonest bitch like some of these other people, no names. I don't want to trigger anyone. And if seeing somebody on a GLP-1 is not good for your mental health, like, I'm letting you know now. I want to just first of all say that I did not get on GLP-1 for weight loss. I have an underlying medical condition. I'm not going to go into detail, but it was prescribed by my doctor.
Okay, so it seems like she's not really going to address anything. I mean, maybe she will, but so far we're not off to a good start, I'll say. So far it sounds like she's trying to justify her behavior and trying to shoehorn it into all of her previous statements. She's not taking it for weight loss. She's got a medical condition. It's like they refuse to admit that obesity is a medical condition, first and foremost, and that in many cases people would like to prevent getting diabetes or other health conditions of that nature. And so, yeah, I see she's trying to justify it already, that she's not going to use it to lose weight. She has a medical condition, as opposed to people who have morbid obesity and they're using it to lose weight. Morbid obesity is the medical condition. But somehow she's trying to position herself a step above those who are trying to use it for weight loss or something, right? And she claims she's not going to be a dishonest. So let's see if she holds herself to these standards.
I remember sitting in the doctor's office being like, this stupid fat phobic bitch. Like, I genuinely thought she was just being fat phobic because I'm telling her I'm having these symptoms and she's like prescribing me a weight loss medication. Like, what the fuck?
Does our friend not realize that medications can treat multiple conditions? Like, the same medication can treat multiple things. Okay, so with my EDS, one of the comorbidities that I have to take multiple antihistamines a day. So one of them that I take is actually a heartburn medication. It's truly an antihistamine, but it's got the added bonus of taking care of heartburn. So it's actually marketed as a heartburn medication, but it's classified as an antihistamine. You know, you can kill two birds with one stone, just kind of like you can take Tylenol to get rid of pain or to lower a fever. You can take one medication for multiple things. So not really sure why that was such a shock to her. She's got it so ingrained in her head that these GLP-1s are nothing but weight loss medication. But did she even bother to look them up before she started trash talking them? I mean, like, that's one of the first things that you can find out about it, is that it's used for a lot of things, including insulin resistance. And I mean, she hasn't disclosed her medical condition, nor do I think she has to. But I'm just genuinely curious, if she's got all those symptoms and she knows what her condition is and all those things, she didn't bother to look any of that up either. I mean, did she look anything up before she just started trash talking this and then talking badly about people that are on it as well? Calling people that are using it fat phobic, or people that are intentionally losing weight on it fat phobic. I mean, like, saying things like it's insane when people want to talk about GLP-1s or losing weight intentionally, or any of the statements that our friend has actually made did she look anything up before she made those statements, or what? I'm really kind of curious now, because yeah, lots of medications treat more than one thing. I mean, just like for shits and giggles, here's a little fun fact. Viagra was not actually made for what it's used for now. It was supposed to be a heart medication. It's supposed to apparently improve blood flow and circulation. And I mean, I guess it did a really good job, but it, had an extra benefit that they were able to market. So, lots of medications have more than one use. So this idea that this doctor must be some fat phobic, it's either because she was willingly ignorant to the subject matter that she was trash talking, or what I think is probably more likely, it feels like our friend is trying to position herself as the pick-me of body positivity. Everybody else is doing it all wrong. Everybody else is fat phobic, but not our friend. She apparently is always right, and they should pick her, because that's what it feels like she's doing. It feels like she's trying to justify the ways that all of her behavior is acceptable. And if you're not doing exactly everything that she does and says and thinks and all of that, well, then you just must be a fat phobic, right?
I just felt like I was so angry at the time, but I came home, did my own research. Because of my symptoms, I was like so desperate at the time. I was like, I need relief. So like, if I just try this and it doesn't work, my insurance covers it, like no harm, no foul. After 4 weeks of being on the GLP-1, I was eating 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I worked with a dietitian for a little bit in the beginning.
Okay, so she said she didn't want to be a dishonest, but she's clearly been on it for well over a month now. At least when she recorded this. And this was at least a couple of weeks ago that she put this up. It does take me a minute to get around to reacting to things sometimes. But she said she didn't want to be a dishonest. Did she come and tell people right away? No, she was still putting content up. I didn't cover any of it because it was just random lifestyle content, but she was still putting content up and was not addressing any of this. So look, I understand that nobody has to come on the internet and talk about their medical conditions. They don't have to talk about their medication. They have bodily autonomy. We all do. We can do whatever we wish to with our own body for our own health reasons or for whatever reasons, right? However, given the statements that our friend has made, I find it very ironic that she's just turning on a dime and not addressing any of that. And like literally, she just said earlier in this video that she didn't want to be a dishonest. So I'm just trying to hold her to her own standards. She said that if people were changing up their style of content, that should be illegal and is insane. So again, I'm just trying to, hold her to her own standards. But again, let's see, maybe she will address all of this.
I am mindful about my protein. I'm not like, I try to get over 100 grams a day, but like, honestly, I just eyeball it and I don't hit it every day and I don't care. I try to get 25 grams of fiber, but that's a goal I've had before the GLP-1, and then just trying to drink a lot of water, electrolytes, things like that. So in that regard, like eating wise, I don't really feel like it changed a lot. It did change like the way that I crave food. Like I don't crave like fast food and stuff like that anymore. Now I would much rather cook than like go out to eat. So I think that's like the biggest change. I don't really.
Okay, she says she doesn't think it's changed the way she's eating, but yet she says she doesn't crave fast food anymore and she doesn't go out to eat anymore. She's cooking a lot more at home. What else could it change? like literally, what else could it change? Especially if we go back and look at a lot of her content from years past. There were so many videos of her eating fast food, eating restaurant food, out to eat, ordering DoorDash and Uber Eats, occasionally on ex-boyfriends or situationships credit cards to different levels of legality, allegedly. Yeah, I still can't believe she did that. That was years ago. I've never addressed it on that channel. Other reaction channels have, but yeah, she openly admitted to ordering food on other people's credit cards. Anyways, yeah, she's got lots and lots of content surrounding that. So for her to say that she's not eating fast food any longer, she doesn't go out to eat anymore, and she's cooking a lot more at home, again, What else would there be left for her to change in her diet? She says it's not changing how she's eating, but yet I think that's a big old lie, if I'm just being perfectly honest. What else could she possibly change? Like, I'm absolutely flabbergasted by that statement. Well, I don't think it's changing anything, but let me just list all the things it just changed.
Get any side effects. There's no like constipation, vomiting, diarrhea, nausea. I don't know. I don't get any of those symptoms. I just get a little dehydrated when I haven't had enough water. I was just really struggling trying to figure out how to come back and talk about this. I've also been experiencing like a lot of cognitive dissonance and feeling like a hypocrite or like a failure. I think almost exactly.
Okay, yeah, she shouldn't feel like a failure. I mean, realistically, if you need medication for any medical condition, I don't think that's a failure. Hypocrite? Yeah, she should definitely feel like one. At least how she's addressed it so far. I haven't seen her address any of her previous statements or any of the she helped spread. So, yeah, I think she should be feeling like a big old hypocrite. If I said, I am never gonna do this, and then 6 months down the line, I turn around and I do the thing, especially on camera, both times, I would really hope that my audience does hold me accountable. I hope you guys do hold me accountable if I ever do something like that. And I don't come to this conclusion like organically. I just randomly flip a switch one day. I don't talk about, hey, I'm going through some things and I might need to go talk to my doctor about this and see what they say. And not even, again, nobody's asking for her to disclose or anything like that. She could have just left it completely as vague as that, or as she has in this video so far. And I don't think anybody would have questioned it or felt like she was that big of a hypocrite. So yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of hypocritical things we could find if we picked apart all of those things. But if she would have even just addressed this with the GLP-1 and said, hey, I know I made some statements in the past, but I didn't know what I was talking about, and I apologize if I gave anybody the wrong information, because now I know a little bit better, and now hopefully you do too. It could have been that simple, and nobody would be over here calling her a hypocrite. Or at least I wouldn't be, personally, because, again, somebody's decision to go on medication, that's between them and their doctor. That has nothing to do with me, so I would not want to insert myself into that conversation. But the fact that she is not addressing any of this so far, yeah, it does make me feel like she is a big old hypocrite. And I can understand exactly why she would feel that way too. But let's see if she does anything with that feeling, or if she's just gonna once again justify why what she's doing is okay.
A year ago, I went viral talking smack about GLP-1s and how all these people are going on GLP-1s for weight loss and just like pretending like nothing fucking happened. I think my body has definitely changed since being on a GLP-1, so it is something that's been kind of like hard for me, because I'm like, oh, I'm feeling better and I'm losing weight. With my experience, I'm starting to like link those two again, and I don't want to like go back into that mindset of like I need to be possible in order to be healthy.
Okay, and here's the thing. I do understand that our friend does come to body positivity by the way of, that's what led her to body positivity. I do understand that. That being said, I don't see her actually addressing this. I don't see her holding herself accountable for her previous actions. And when we are talking about recovery, I mean, I'm not certain what our friend ever struggled with. She has never disclosed that, nor does she have to. But I've talked many times on this channel about my food addiction. And one of the things that I have to be very upfront about when I talk about those things is my own actions in all of that. What I said, what I did, how I felt, how I justified all of those things. So that way I can hold myself accountable now. And that I don't allow myself to slide back into any of those bad habits that can lead me back down to that bad path again. So hearing the way she is discussing this, I really want to be empathetic about this. I want to put myself in her shoes and understand that she is coming to this from a place of recovery. But having been there myself, and I'm always going to be in recovery for this, I understand that we also have to hold ourselves accountable. We can't have others do it for us. We have to be willing to do it ourselves. And I really hope if she's not doing it, at least on camera, that she's doing it behind the scenes. But I have a feeling she's not. Otherwise, she would have brought this up while she is addressing all of this. It just seems to me, once again, she is trying to justify her behavior. And unfortunately, that is exactly what happens with a lot of. And it really does make me wonder with the language that she is using, if she is still in recovery or she might be having a bit of a relapse. And I understand she addressed a little bit of that she is trying to make sure that she doesn't think that she has to get a to be healthy. And I can appreciate that. But also, here's the thing. When you have a relapse, it doesn't always mean that you return back to exactly the thing that brought you there in the first place. At least personally, my B and food addiction, it's really hard to tell the difference. It really is. I know for a fact that food addiction is real. What I went through, they are the actions, they are the thoughts, and they are the behaviors across the board of addicts. And it doesn't matter what you're addicted to. You can become addicted to, obviously, like illicit substances or alcohol. But you can become addicted to so many other things too, like shopping and gambling, or people get addicted to carrying their water cup around with them or applying lip balm or so many other things. And it doesn't always mean that it's a bad thing. Plenty of those, like applying lip balm, that could just be a little innocuous thing. But you can become addicted to numerous things. And one of the biggest things that they teach you whenever you are in recovery, you have to be incredibly careful of transfer addiction, trading one addiction for another. It doesn't mean that you're going to go back to that same addiction because you understand that was the one that was really terrible. But often people will then replace it with something else. And depending, it can be really terrible or it could be an okay thing. It just really does depend. So one of the things that I always think of, obviously, my food addiction. Clearly, because I went through it. But also, I know that I have those same tendencies. I have those same abilities inside of me, regardless of whether or not it's going towards food or anything else. So I know that I need to take those behaviors and that mindset and apply it to something positive in my life. This is where racing has come in real handy for that for me, honestly. Some people might say I'm addicted to it. I mean, I've done 21 races this is my third racing season, but I've done it for less than 2 calendar years, if you can believe it. And I've done 21 races in that time. So there's plenty of people that could look at that and say, wow, she's addicted to that. And they're probably not wrong. But in my opinion, I think that is a much healthier and beneficial addiction to have as opposed to the one where, I was 360 pounds, had a whole host of health conditions, lost my car, lost my house, had the electricity shut off, lost my utilities. My life literally was in shambles at my own doing because of my addiction. So the way that she is talking about this and not actually addressing these things, it's really making all my spider senses tingling. It really is. It makes me feel like she thinks she has conquered this and now she can just move on. I really hope that I'm wrong. But her unwillingness to take accountability at this point really is concerning to me.
I have really good friends, really good mutuals I talk to and confide in all the time. And I think I'm staying pretty good. I have one friend that I know would literally slap the shit out of me if I was going back into diet culture. So it hasn't happened yet. So I'm assuming that I'm doing okay. I think the big
Okay, and we can't rely on others to hold ourselves accountable. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We absolutely do. Because the thing about it is, especially when we are talking about these types of behaviors, they live in secrecy. I'm really, really good at hiding food if I want to. Really good at it. Nobody would ever even know. I was the master at it, at going through the drive-thru, getting everything I could have possibly wanted, stashing food in my car, stashing food in my house, stashing food in my desk, anywhere and everywhere I possibly could. And then also taking every single bit of trash you could possibly find, wrapping it all up multiple times so nobody would even think to see what was in there, hiding it at the bottom of the dumpster at my job so nobody would ever find what I was doing. So when she's saying, well, my friends are going to hold me accountable. You think my friends had any clue of what I was doing at the height of my addiction? Of course they didn't. And that was by design. That was 100% by design, because all of my behaviors were based in shame. And what do when you are ashamed of your behaviors? You hide them. So this, again, is very, very concerning to me, knowing the space that she comes from. And now, again, she is not taking accountability. She's not actually addressing things. And she is going to be relying on others to help keep her in check. Like, look, don't get me wrong. It's nice to have your friends help to support you. It really, truly is. But she's saying, this hasn't happened yet, so I don't think it has happened. Because her friend hasn't held her accountable, she doesn't think it's happened. She should already know it hasn't happened. She should not be relying on her friend for that. Her friend should be there as the fail-safe, not the first line of defense.
Biggest thing for me is that I don't know what the future of my account is. I really just want to be able to post whatever I want. So that's why I'm making the disclaimer. I don't think I'm going to be doing like, hey guys, I lost X amount of pounds this week. Like, I don't think I'm going to be doing anything like that. It doesn't interest me. And there's already a bunch of people that already do that on GLP-1s on this app. But I think it would be really beneficial. I know a lot of people that followed me because they had issues with, and I would love to, share my experience and how it's literally made those urges and that like mindset around food like completely vanish. It's been such a godsend. And yeah, I know some people are not going to understand, and I totally get it.
Okay, this confirms a lot of what I've been thinking, because yeah, she's talking now about how this is taking away all the food noise. Again, I have no idea what she was dealing with previously. Again, she does not need to disclose that. Nobody has to if they don't want to. However, I have been open and upfront about and there are so many red flags I just saw right there. It's unreal. She's not taking accountability for her previous actions. She's not taking accountability for her current actions. She thinks that her friends are going to be able to hold her accountable. She thinks that now she's going to be able to not only navigate this herself, but also then teach others and take them along while she's trying to navigate all of this. And she doesn't know how this is going to play with her recovery. I already know she doesn't, because she hasn't even talked about that. She hasn't, I don't think, probably given it much thought. She's just riding the wave of, I don't have food noise anymore. I don't have fast food anymore. I am losing a little bit of weight and this is great. And now she does want to talk about it. And hey, that's her prerogative. She is more than welcome to do all of that. But again, I do find it incredibly ironic considering her previous statements and her lack of addressing any of those statements at this point. But our friend has posted a lot of content since she has put this up. So let's go ahead and check out some more of her TikToks and see what else she's been up to.
You guys are upset with Remy Bader because she didn't disclose the fact that she had weight loss surgery for a year. And the commentary was, well, like, if she would have just told us from the beginning, it would have been fine. Like, her body, her choice, though. Okay. And then we move over to Janelle, which really solidified the fact that your issue is that people are not disclosing it from the beginning. Okay. Perfect. So when I decide that I'm coming back to the internet, I am asking some of my mutuals and even some of my close friends, I'm like, should I say anything about being on a GLP-1? Pretty much everyone was like, no, like it's no one else's business. However, I'm very sensitive knowing that the majority of my audience I build while going through recovery. And
while going through recovery, she's saying that in past tense, like she's past it, like she is now recovered. And unfortunately, I mean, at least everything I have ever heard, and I mean, I was in therapy for over 8 years with this, so that's where I'm literally getting this directly from. You're always going to be in recovery. I will always be in recovery for mine. It just is. These things are. And the moment you think it's behind you, that's the moment that it can creep right back up on you. That's why you have to stay diligent. That's why you have to stay in recovery, so you can hold yourself accountable. So that way you can make sure you are doing the things you are supposed to be doing. So that kind of confirms exactly what I was getting from that last TikTok as well. And then she says that, well, it was because Remy Bader didn't disclose it for a year. That was the whole problem. No, there were plenty of people that were just upset she had weight loss surgery to begin with. There were plenty of people that were just upset she happened to lose weight because she's no longer realistic or whatever. There were so many reactions to it. There was no consensus to it. The consensus was that people were just mad. That was the consensus. The reasoning behind why people were mad was kind of all over the place. So her reducing it down to just this one thing, well, it was because she didn't tell anybody for a year. Okay, then somebody else didn't do it from the beginning. And I'll be honest, I'm unfamiliar with that creator, so I can't really speak on that one. But she also didn't disclose it from the beginning. She said just in that last one, which was at the beginning of May, that she had been on it for 4 weeks. So she didn't disclose it from the beginning either. And again, she didn't have to. Nobody has to. Everybody has bodily autonomy to do those things. But if she's going to hold other people to those standards or say, well, this is the reason why everybody's mad, so I don't know why you're mad at me because I'm not doing that. It really feels, again, like she's just trying to be the pick-me. That it's okay for her to do what she's doing, but anybody else, there were reasons why, and that was justified for people to be mad at them. It really does feel like she is just trying to somehow thread this needle after all of the body positivity that she has posted all of these years. So she says that she is trying to be mindful of that because of who her audience may be. But I also wonder if she is just also trying to not alienate her audience at this point as well.
I know, as somebody who, went through that it's very triggering when you're watching somebody like move into a smaller body, and people with or that type of behavior, we are very observant of people's bodies, and I do not want anyone to feel like they're going crazy or like what is going on, without saying anything. Also,
okay, but here's the thing. She just said seeing somebody lose weight can be triggering. And she just admitted in her last TikTok that she has lost weight. So she knows that this type of content could be triggering to her audience. And she is still trying to justify this. And look, I understand from her perspective, she's probably over here like, but I'm disclosing it. They can't be mad at me. Because again, she's not actually addressing any of her previous content. She's just moving along like none of that existed previously.
The fact that I'm not embarrassed about being on a GLP-1, I was like, I'm just going to say it. I'm not understanding why people still have a problem. So you have a problem when people don't disclose it. You have a problem when people disclose it. So what's the issue?
I think I've pretty much articulated what my issue is. It's not whether or not she's disclosed it. It's all of her past behavior she has yet to address. All of this information she has spread that, again, she has yet to address. So let's see if she addresses any of this in these next TikToks.
I was just thinking about how scared I was trying a GLP-1 because like everyone shows on social media that like they're never hungry and like they never want to eat and they have to force themselves. I've been on it for almost 9 weeks and...
Wait, almost 9 weeks? The other one we just watched, she had said she had been on it for almost 4 weeks. And there was certainly not 5 weeks in between that first video and this one. There's no way. Unless, maybe she recorded that first one where she admitted she was on a GLP-1. Maybe she recorded that before she posted it. I'm not sure. But she just got done talking about how she wanted to disclose this so that way people wouldn't be mad at her. But I'm already finding an inconsistency immediately in her timeline. So if I were that individual that was going to be triggered by this or hyper-focusing on this, I would be, wondering why she didn't disclose that and said previously it was 4 weeks and now it's jumped to 9 weeks when 5 weeks of time certainly didn't elapse in between those TikToks. But also, 9 weeks, that's definitely enough time that she's probably seeing the results. And I can see it looking at her too. So if I were that audience member that she was really concerned about, she doesn't think that this is still going to somehow be triggering to that individual. It doesn't make any sense at all what she is trying to say and how she is trying to thread this needle over and over again. None of this is adding up to me because I'm already finding inconsistencies, like I said, but also it's just not lining up at all with what she just said, that she was trying to be mindful of her audience.
I've seen significant changes and I've never a meal ever, and I don't plan to. I think in thinking about how this has actually changed my relationship with food, I don't eat just to eat. I only eat when I'm hungry, which is very different from before I was on this medication, because I would just eat for every single emotion: happy, sad, bored, lonely, like literally didn't matter. I'm finding an occasion to eat. The other thing is,
okay, and I can understand and relate with that. Absolutely. I've certainly gone through my bouts of emotional eating, but I'm really curious because it seems like in many of her videos previously where she was eating on camera, she was talking about how she was eating intuitively and feeding her body and not going to be herself. And I mean, like, this just seems so completely incongruent with her previous messaging. And again, she's not addressing any of it. She's just moving along like nothing happened, and now she's just going to go ahead, like she said, completely done a 180 and completely rebranding herself as now the GLP-1 lady. And I mean, again, it's her channel. She can do whatever she wants, but I'm just trying to, again, hold her to her own standards that she has set and is trying to hold others to. So,
like, I'm just not that picky when it comes to food anymore. I used to be like, oh my God, I have this specific craving in my mind. If I don't get it, I'm gonna like eat a bunch more food to make up for it. But like now I just like genuinely don't care. Another difference is I used to always have to have something sweet after my meal. I don't do that anymore. I actually don't have any sweets in my apartment. It's not because like I can't have them, or just like I literally don't crave them. Really, really sweet.
Okay, and I have to say, the way that she was just talking about this, because she said that this was before the medication. So I have to assume that this was in the last couple of years while she was still making content talking about eating. There's a lot of concerning things going on in there. Somebody who has gone through, there were a lot of concerning things there. The idea that you had to satisfy that craving, and if you didn't get it, you were going to overcompensate, aka until you felt some sort of satisfaction. Yeah, that's not somebody who is recovered or even in recovery for an. That's someone who's in denial. That's someone, again, who is justifying their actions. That is, again, it's really concerning hearing the way that she is talking about these things. And she just said in one of the previous TikToks that this medication wasn't changing how she eats. But clearly it is. And she either doesn't want to admit it to herself or her audience, or both.
Stuff is just like, ooh, to me now, which is weird because like I genuinely had like the worst fucking sweet tooth before this medication. Obviously, I know.
Okay, and she's not craving sweets anymore either. Okay, so she doesn't eat fast food anymore. She doesn't want to go out to eat anymore. She's eating a lot more at home. She doesn't crave sweets anymore. She clearly had some issues going on previously that she admits now, but was going on a couple years ago or whenever this was going on, as if everything was totally fine. And yet still can't admit that this medication is actually changing the way that she eats.
Everyone's experience is going to be different. Like everyone's body is different and they react differently. But I wanted to share my story because if that is something that was also scaring you, like just know it doesn't always happen. I have had to block people off my FYP who like glorify the fact that they're like hungry and they're constantly going up in their dose because like they don't want to feel like they food. Like that's fucking weird. That's not normal. And like what happens when you get off the medication? Another thing I was really scared about was like all the side effects. It is listed, I think, on the side effect like sheet that 50% people will get these horrible side effects. But I've realized over the past almost 9 weeks that a lot of those are caused by like not doing the right things on the medication. So like if you
okay, maybe for her. Maybe that's what causes it for her. But to say, well, I found that that's because you're not using the medication properly. Again, it's the pick me. I'm doing it right. Everybody else is doing it wrong. You get side effects because you're not doing it right. You know how many side effects I get from medications? Are you out of your minds? I have to be so incredibly careful about what medications I use, what shampoos and soaps and deodorants and everything I put in or on my body. I have to be so incredibly careful with all of that because not only do I have the EDS and all of the other stuff that goes along with that make my body a little bit more sensitive to a lot of those things, but I'm also a natural redhead. So like legitimately, medication hits me far differently than it does people who don't have red hair. Especially if we're talking like painkillers or anesthetics or anything along those lines. It's kind of really strange how differently medication can affect all of our bodies. So her idea of, well, I don't get these side effects as long as I do it properly. So she's implying that the people who are getting the side effects aren't using the medication properly. And that's just not accurate. People can get side effects from the most innocuous of medications. My dad was allergic to penicillin. Penicillin is literally one of the reasons why we have people living to such long ages now, because antibiotics have really helped with childhood conditions, right? My dad could never take penicillin. My dad was also allergic to aspirin. Again, a very benign over-the-counter, anybody can buy it drug, but my dad had, severe reactions to it that could have killed him. So this idea that if you just use these medications properly, then you won't have side effects, that is a bunch of malarkey.
Drastically cut how much water you're having. That's a problem on this medication because it's like anti-inflammatory. So it's already going to slightly dehydrate you. So if you're also dehydrating yourself by not drinking enough water, you're gonna have some issues, right? Like you're gonna feel nauseous, you're gonna feel dizzy, you're gonna feel lightheaded. And just like that, I'm full. So I'm gonna put the lid on it and I can come back to it at any time when I'm hungry again.
Okay, and she says that this medication isn't changing the way that she eats. Who's she trying to fool? She's eaten enough on camera for us to know. I could pull up so many videos where this is clearly a departure from where she was eating previously. And that's not to shame her. That's not trying to have some sort of gotcha. But it's just to point out, I don't think she is willing to take accountability on any of this. And she says she's going to eat every meal. Still, she's going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? And I got to be honest, taking a look at that, I didn't get a full, clear view. I'll be perfectly fair. But it looked like some sort of quesadilla meal. I'm guessing maybe even Chipotle, if I have to be honest, by the packaging. But she didn't eat even half of that. I understand she ate until she was full, and that's totally fine. But she's saying, I'm going to eat full meals. That did not appear to be a full meal. And if, again, she's trying to be mindful of her audience that she built while she was in recovery, I really think she should be a lot more mindful of those things, especially if she's over here trying to convince herself it's not changing the way she's eating.
Good morning. It's actually the afternoon. It's 1 o'clock. I've been in my new place for a day and a half, so sorry if it's echoey. I'm doing my injection today. I've officially been on Zepbound for 8 weeks, and my biggest happiness, well, there's two things, but the first is that I feel like I have my face back. Like, I have my face back. Like, this is my face. This is how I remember it. And not having as like much inflammation and shit is just making me feel so much better. I just finished.
We sure that's all just inflammation she's lost? I can tell by looking at our friend here, she's definitely lost weight. I just don't understand why it's so difficult for her to admit that. She wants to celebrate it, but she has to go about this whole idea that it's inflammation. She's evidently just lost water weight. Really? I'm not buying it. I'm really not buying it. I, again, just feel like she's trying to justify her actions and trying to somehow justify it in the context of everything she has said previously. But I don't think that was all just inflammation. Not our friend doing a before and after. One of the things she has explicitly said is fat phobic, right? And again, I don't think it is, or even if it is, I don't care. If you want to put up all the before and afters you want, go for it. If it makes you happy, do it. Who cares? But I understand that this is something that this community has railed against so hard over the years. This literally just came up not that long ago again. I almost covered it in another video, but there's been so many other things that have popped off that I just haven't honestly gotten around to it. But did she really post a before and after picture? She's literally doing all the things she said she would never do. She's going on a GLP-1. She's putting up before and afters. Is she going to start body checking next?
I knew talking about being on a GLP-1 would ruffle some people's feathers, or like, posting content about my progress of being on a GLP-1 would maybe hurt some people.
Okay, and our friend is responding to a comment that reads, not a literal before and after. Cool. You notice our friend didn't call it that. She called it her progress. It's not a before and after. It's just progress, because it's before and afters that are fat phobic. But if you're just showing your progress, you're allowed to be proud about that. And who could ever be mad about that? I've just ruffled the feathers, right? It's not that our friend has spent years on social media telling everybody else all the ways that they were wrong for trying to pursue weight loss. And now all of her own words are starting to come back to bite her in the ass.
I totally get that. I know it's not gonna be everyone's vibe. That is why I posted a video saying, hey guys, I'm on a GLP-1, and I pinned it to my profile, because I do not want anyone who feels like that would be unhealthy for them to watch that. But I also want to disclaim that I probably could have put this in the caption, but I didn't. I'm specifically talking about the inflammatoriness of my face in the before photo. You got
inflammation? That's not, inflammatoriness is not a word. Inflammation, please. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's the thing. That's not just inflammation. It absolutely is not just inflammation. Come on. I can see it not just in her face. She's posted enough content over the years that we can all tell. And she admitted in that video that's pinned that she's talking about that she has lost weight. And now somehow she's still out here trying to do all of these mental gymnastics to try to prove to our audience that what she did is justified without actually addressing any of this. She still isn't addressing any of this. This was her progress and her inflammatoriness. No, she lost weight and then she put up a before and after. And that's okay. She is allowed to do all of that. We all are. But that's the thing. I've never yelled at other people that they weren't allowed to do that. So I don't have to go apologize if I then go put up a before and after. I don't have to then go back and eat all of my own words, because I never put those up on the internet the way our friend did. And these videos are still up. Even if at one point she may have taken them off of her account, they're still out there in the ether. That is the internet. You can find them all over the place. There's compilations all over the place with our friend in there. So the fact that she is unwilling to address any of this, the fact that she is unwilling to take any ounce of criticism on this, it just really kind of proves to me she really is the pick-me of body positivity. She thinks everything that she does is perfectly fine and justified. And unless you do exactly the same things she does and says the exact same things that she does and thinks the exact same things that she does, you're probably wrong.
guys, a GLP-1 will literally get rid of every ounce of excess water in your body. You will not be inflamed on this medication. It's like genuinely impossible. So what I'm specifically talking about is the change in my face. Like, I'm probably not going to disclose whether or not I've lost weight or how much weight I've lost. Like, I mean, I could change my mind at any point, but right now,
she has already changed her mind because she has already said that she's lost weight on this. Now, I understand she hasn't disclosed how much, and all of this is up to her discretion. But it's like she can't even keep track of what she said from one video to the next. And this was just in the span of maybe a week or so. Maybe not even a full week. She can't even keep track of what she's saying from one video to the next. She already has said that she's lost weight. And now she's not sure if she's going to tell people she's lost weight. Well, sorry, friend, the cat's out of the bag. You already told us.
I don't feel like I'm going to be doing that. Some people won't understand, but like when you lose your face temporarily and then all of a sudden you have your face back and you look in the mirror, every time you look in the mirror, it's like you recognize yourself again. Like for so long, I felt like I didn't recognize myself, and like all of a sudden I'm like recognizing myself again. And like that is priceless, okay? And I wanted to share it on the internet. I'm sorry. I really am sorry. I know like I can't please everyone, but I tried to do this the best that I could.
Okay, so she wanted to put this up because she could recognize herself again. And, you know, hey, I am happy for our friend with that. Honestly, I am. That being said, again, she is shit all over those of us that have put up before and afters just because we have lost weight. I guess maybe I should have classified it as inflammation and that would have made it okay, right? But have to be honest, after losing 180 pounds, I didn't recognize myself at all. It took a long time to get used to what this face looked like in a mirror. Absolutely did. It took a long time for me to get used to that because I never saw this face as an adult. Not until I lost weight. I saw myself at 300 pounds or 360 pounds or, anywhere in between as I was gaining and losing weight. I never saw myself at this weight, let alone this weight for a long enough time to get used to what I looked like. And so I fully understand why when people are losing weight or, sharing their progress, that they do want to put up before and afters. Because A, it gives you a really good comparison, but also you might be dealing with what I was, not recognizing your own self in the mirror. And it takes a long time to really equate, that's me in that picture, and that's also me in that picture. And now I've done enough of them and it's been enough time that I can look at those pictures no problem and recognize that it is myself, whether it was at 360 pounds or whether it's now or anywhere in between. But I understand exactly why so many of us do put up before and after pictures. But evidently, if we just label it as inflammation and not before and after weight loss, everything's okay. Everything's acceptable. And we shouldn't ever at all be mad at that, right? When in reality, we should never have been mad about the weight loss pictures either. That's the whole point that just blows my mind with all of this. She thinks all of her behaviors in this are justified. Where if somebody who is morbidly obese goes through those same exact behaviors, they go on weight loss medication, they change their relationship with food, they start posting before and after pictures and talking about how their medication changed their relationship with food. Suddenly that's all fat phobic because they did it with the intent of losing weight, where she's just got the intent of losing inflammation and treating her conditions. And that's the only pure way of doing it, right? And that's what drives me so crazy about all of this. It's like she is still trying to perpetuate this stigma that it's somehow shameful to use these medications if you're using it for weight loss. But somehow if she's doing it for her reasons, it's okay. But let's see, we've got some more. Let's see, maybe she finally addresses any of these concerns. Okay, it says, are you going to watch the YouTube video that XYZ made about you? Well, I do hope she watches this one. I know she won't, but, a person can dream, right? But let's go ahead and read the caption on this. I don't care what fat-phobic, attention-seeking weirdos have to say. It's the same old tired rhetoric. I do not think being fat is bad, and I still believe in everything I've posted about. I will continue to be an ally for plus-size baddies. So yeah, I do think it is a little bit of wishful thinking at this point. If our friend is ever going to reflect on this or address any of her previous content, I just don't see it happening because she still believes in everything she's posted about. So does that also include the one I showed at the very beginning where creators who switch up their style of content, that should be illegal? I mean, does she really stand by absolutely everything that she has said? Because I'm just reading her own words right here.
People get pissed off when they find out that you're on a GLP-1. Let this be a learning lesson to anyone else who's on a GLP-1 and was thinking about announcing it on their social media, because the fact that people are so invested in making YouTube videos, plural, about me, TikToks about me, it's honestly so fucking weird.
No, I think it's pretty weird that our friend has put up all the content she has for all of these years. She hasn't addressed any of it. And now she has, in her own words, switched up her style of content. And I think that's insane, disgusting, and should be illegal. It's not that a creator went on a GLP-1. It's that our friend, who has gone viral numerous times in the body positivity and anti-diet spaces, is now jumping on what many consider to be one of the biggest diet fads of our time. That's why. So here's the thing. I don't think too many people would have had a problem, or at least I know I wouldn't have had a problem with any of this, if when she came out and said she was on a GLP-1, if she would have addressed any of her previous comments, any of her previous statements, any of the ways that she has acted on social media, especially towards people who have intentionally lost weight, especially towards people who have worked out at a gym for appearance-based reasons, who've gone on a GLP-1, any of the things that she has railed against so hard in the past and just said incredibly harsh things about. On one hand, it's okay if she does it, but if anybody else does it, they didn't do it for the right reasons and they deserve her harsh treatment. And either way, she has positioned herself to always be in the right and we are always wrong. That's the issue I have with it. Not that she's on a GLP-1. It's her behavior and how she has treated others on social media. That's the issue I have with it. Because she's not going to actually talk about any of that or hold herself accountable for any of that, is she?
People are asking, like, are you going to go back on what you said? Are you going to apologize for all the things you said? No, because I still believe them, babe.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem. That's the exact problem right there. That's the exact problem. And again, does she really still believe all of that? Because I think that's a little insane.
The problem with the internet is that because most of the people that share their GLP-1 journeys on the internet are doing it for weight loss reasons, you assume that everyone else that's on a GLP-1 is doing it for weight loss reasons. There are so many.
No. If somebody takes Tylenol, doesn't matter if they take it for a fever or a headache. What matters is that they get the appropriate medication for what they need. That's all that matters. And she's not some like revolutionary here or something. I've seen plenty of GLP-1 accounts where they're talking about it for a multitude of reasons, not just weight loss. This kind of indicates to me that she hasn't been in any of these discussions, any of these talks, any of the articles that are out there, any of this. She just formed the opinion that, oh, this is for weight loss, therefore it must be bad. It's black and white thinking to such a degree that I can't even wrap my mind around this. I literally cannot wrap my mind around this at all. She has justified that everything she does is right, what other people do is wrong, unless it's what exactly she is doing. She's not going to address anything that she has done in the past because why would she need to? Everything she does is right. And, well, nobody else is doing it like I am because, again, they're all wrong. It's nothing but pick-me behavior over and over and over again. Well, I'm not like those other GLP-1 accounts. They're doing it for weight loss. I'm doing it for better reasons. She might say different reasons, but that's exactly what she means. And that's her exact attitude through this whole situation.
Other benefits to a GLP-1 that I had no idea about until my doctor told me about them. People think that
maybe then we shouldn't demonize things before we know fully what they are. Maybe we shouldn't talk shit about something until we fully understand it. Maybe, just maybe, friend, you shouldn't be talking shit about intentional weight loss for those of us that it has greatly helped. She can talk all she wants about how that might not be her goal or that might have triggered her or whatever she wishes to talk to about that. But when she demonized so many people by saying, you're fat phobic if you do this, you're a horrible person if you do that, I'm the greatest person ever because I'm doing it the right way. And that is the attitude I have gotten from so many of her TikToks over the years. So many of them. And the fact that she is unwilling to address it, unwilling to hold herself accountable for it, it doesn't show to me that she is actually growing as a person. Doesn't seem like she's actually trying to learn or understand or do better. She just wants to keep doubling down in her behaviors. She just wants to keep justifying everything that she is doing as okay. And again, justifying everything that you're doing as okay, that very much indicates to me that our friend is probably not doing as well in her as she is letting on.
Whatever I said 2 years ago, I have to believe that for the rest of my life. When I talked about GLP-1s, it's from what I learned from social media, which is probably the same thing that everyone else has learned.
Okay, and all she has to do is say, I was misinformed. I didn't know enough then, but I know more now. And that would literally address it. But she keeps going out of her way to justify what she's done and what she is continuing to do, instead of actually acknowledging it and admitting to herself let alone anybody else. She won't even admit it to herself. And here's the thing. It's okay to be wrong. It absolutely is. As long as once you find out that you were wrong, you learn from it and you do better going forward. Otherwise, you are knowingly doing the wrong thing. And that's just what it feels like. She doesn't even want to admit that it's wrong, because then she will have to admit she is knowingly doing the wrong thing. I don't know. She's got maybe 30 seconds left. Maybe she'll turn it around and do a complete 180 and shock the shit out of me. Let's see.
From social media, until a doctor literally sat down and talked to me about how GLP-1 would help me in other ways beyond weight loss. That is the first time I had ever heard anyone using a GLP-1 for more than just weight loss. There's no like gotcha moment, because I literally made a 2-minute long video, pinned it to my profile, announcing the fact that I was on a GLP-1. So for people to be like, haha, you're on a GLP-1. Yeah, I know, I literally told you.
And again, it's not that she's on a GLP-1. It's that she has made some really outrageous statements over the years, and she is seemingly backtracking them on her behavior, but not actually admitting to her audience what she is doing. And we can all see it. Her own audience is calling her out about before and afters. I did see a video of her body checking, and like, quite frankly, you can sit there and say, oh, it's just an outfit of the day video. But considering she has complained about that in a lot of her videos, that, well, now you're seeing I'm doing these body checks. She's doing all of the things that she has complained about others doing, but somehow it's okay when she does it. So there is one thing our friend did say in all of those TikToks that I really do agree with. She should feel like a hypocrite, especially if she's unwilling to talk about or even admit any of her previous content. That tells me everything I need to know about her. But maybe that's just me. Let me know down in the comments below. What do you think? I am genuinely curious, and I love reading all of your responses. That is where we will leave things today. I thank you so much for joining me. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye! He is Pokey. You going to say hi, baby? Oh, look at you. Oh, did I wake you from your slumber? You think I did? Oh, poor baby. Can you get belly rubs? Yeah. Anybody else have a kitty you can actually rub their bellies? For some reason, all 3 of my cats, I can rub their bellies. All of them. Like, that is very unusual. I've had so many cats that really do not like that, but all 3 of them actually let me rub their bellies. That's kind of astounding, but...